ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side three, it's good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Welcome into the Tuesday, August 14th edition. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann, back in the studio for the rest of the week. We'll take your phone calls later on. I'll open phone lines up in about 30, 40 minutes, but we've got a couple of guests we want to get on the show later on in the program. First of all, we're going to talk to David Kahn from the West Virginia Power, get an update from him on how the Power, how they're doing. Not that good. We'll get the latest from David on that. I think records are important in minor league baseball, but it's player development as well. So we'll talk to him about where the Power go from here. Also, the news came out today, and we've got him on the program fresh from the press release. Marshall's named a new head team physician for Marshall Athletics. It's Dr. John Jasko. So Dr. Jasko is going to join us a little bit later on in the program. So we're going to talk to him, find out his thoughts on the new position at Marshall University for him and where he sees the program, and give him the opportunity to maybe explain what he does and what the mission of his job is, because he's going to be responsible for basically the health of the team. You're the head team physician for Marshall Athletics. That means you've got a lot of patients, and you can't do it alone. So we'll talk to him about how this works at Marshall, what makes Marshall a great job for him. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of what the Thundering Herd has been able to build up in that new facility with the medical facilities that they have, with the way that they can keep them healthy, keep them in shape. So we'll talk to him about that. That's what's coming up later on. And, of course, as I mentioned, your phone calls. And we'll take your tweets as well. Social media is an option for you. At Paul Swann is where I reside at the moment. And yesterday, I got a little feedback. We were talking about a couple of things. First of all, retiring numbers. Should Marshall retire? We were football specific here, because that's where a lot of it's coming from. And there are some who feel that, it's a good thing. Retire some numbers here. What's the criteria? College Football Hall of Fame? Is that the ultimate? You get to that level, then Marshall should retire your number? Or should Marshall push it a little higher? I got a couple of, let's say some ideas on that. And one idea was that it should be the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The thought here is that's going to be the highest. You can be a great college player, but then you get into the pros and you get into the Hall of Fame. You've really done something for your football career. So that seems to be a suggestion. Ben on Twitter suggested that should be the criteria. So, okay. Is that going to be enough to satisfy those who maybe think, okay, retiring numbers is maybe a little too far? Because how many Marshall players are going to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Now, I say that now, and you know what? There could be a golden age of herd football again, where players are getting drafted, having tremendous careers, and the surge of herd football players up in the Hall of Fame. That's a possibility. Others have kind of tagged along with my idea, and I don't share this idea alone. I can't claim sole credit for it. But I'm hoping that a Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it, an honor that you can bestow upon a football player, and you put their name and their number, and you honor their number. You're not retiring their number. You're honoring that number. And so you have their number in a place where people can see it and you can honor them. You have the player come in. For the most part, I think you have to have the player come in. So that way, you want to honor Chad Pennington? There he is. Honor Chad Pennington. You want to honor Michael Payton? You can honor Michael Payton. You want to honor Troy Brown? By all means, he's on the list. Carl Lee's definitely on the list. You can honor these players and not retire their numbers, because let's face facts. Numbers You can go up to triple digits if you like, but I don't think that's really feasible. I don't want to get into a competition here for numbers when you're running short on them. So I think numbers, you can honor numbers. You don't necessarily need to retire. That's just my take on it. I would go for the Ring of Honor. And you do this in other sports as well. I mean, as it stands right now, the highest honor I think you can get at Marshall is the Marshall Hall of Fame. You get into the Hall of Fame for the athletic department, and that says something about you. But now we want to take it a step higher. Okay. Whatever the reason may be, we want to take it a step higher. Selfish or non-selfish reasons, whatever they may be. Okay. You want to take it higher? Well, here's how you take it higher. Retire number, which I'm not necessarily 100% in favor of. Honor a player. You honor the player. The criteria is I'm not going to say the criteria is a little looser, but you got to have a criteria. And so if you're saying Pro Football Hall of Fame gets you a number retired, well, that's going to be a pretty exclusive club. I mean, really exclusive. All right, College Football Hall of Fame. You get in the College Football Hall of Fame, you get your number retired. Okay, not as exclusive of a club compared to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Still, it's a short list, but there's going to be some guys that maybe get left off that list that deserve honoring. Again, I'm going to go back to Carl Lee. I'm going to use him as my baseline. Carl Lee. That guy deserves any honor that Marshall can come up with. Are you going to retire his number? Well, he doesn't meet the baseline criteria that some of us have set up. And again, this is completely fluid, and we're having that conversation. I don't think they're in the war room right now at Marshall trying to decide how are we going to retire numbers. I don't think that is necessarily come up in serious conversation, and if it has, it's probably a limited conversation. Again, total speculation on my part. But you get to a point where, all right, we've got a Ring of Honor. Criteria, not necessarily the College Football Hall of Fame. Because if a guy like Chad Pennington gets in, he deserves it. If he doesn't get in, that guy still needs to be honored by Marshall. And there already are several ways Marshall's honored him. But if you're trying to take this a different direction, one step further, you've got the Ring of Honor. It's a football honor. Here it is. I don't need to have that criteria. Okay, you know, well, Chad's not in the Hall of Fame, so he can't be honored. He can't have his number retired. He can't be on this. Well, yeah, he can. Now, of course, I believe Chad's eventually going to get in. He's going to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. I think so. I believe he deserves it. You got guys who definitely deserve some honor here. And again, this could be selfish or non-selfish reasons, whatever the case may be. But if you want to pay tribute to these guys, and if the Marshall Hall of Fame is not significant enough, and there's this feeling now that, okay, football has to do something else, then here's your solution, I think. Ring of Honor. Honor the player. Honor the number. We turn our attention to baseball when we come back. David Kahn's going to join us, and then later on we're going to talk Marshall football. Specifically, the announcement today that Marshall has named John Jasko as head team physician for Marshall Athletics. So Dr. Jasko is going to join us on the program later on, and then we'll take your phone calls. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition. We turn our attention now to the West Virginia Power, and to help us get up to speed on what's happening with the Power, we welcome to the program the voice of the Power. His name's David Kahn, and he's here now to illuminate our day, enlighten us on what's happening with the West Virginia Power.
Paul, it's good to be back with you. The Power are doing well. They're in playoff contention, which is not something we could always say over the last couple of weeks, but they played very, very well on that road trip. A couple of games got away from West Virginia in Rome especially, but they are still very much in playoff contention and just 1.5 games out of that wild card spot versus Kannapolis. So exciting things ahead as we close out the 2018 regular season.
See, I'm looking at the overall and thinking, okay, this isn't going as good as it could be. Then you inch over a little bit and you go, oh, hey, the wild card. That's a thing.
Right. Yeah, the wild card is a thing. So because Lakewood is winning the second half after they already won the first half, it basically, if they win the second half of the division, that is null and void. No one cares about that. Then it turns to the next best overall record in the South Atlantic League Northern Division. Lakewood is then removed, and you look at the teams below them. So right now it's Kannapolis, but West Virginia is only a game and a half back of Kannapolis, and then after that, Delmarva is a game and a half back of West Virginia, and Hickory is a game behind them. So it's all a very, very close race, and you know it's going to come down to the wire.
You think a lot of people maybe have forgotten about that wild card because Lakewood's just been that much good, and I mean it's something that is good for, I think, players at this level because there's still something out there for them to play for. And I know that's pretty hard to say when this is a developmental league. This is a opportunity for these players to develop no matter what the record is. But have you found that that's maybe helping this team a little bit better than just maybe completely being out of it and not having anything to play for?
I mean, this team always has something to play for. You know, you're always playing to move up a level. You're always playing to, you know, make it to the next level of Pittsburgh system and to get better personally and professionally. But I mean, this team realized over this last road trip that they are still very much in contention, and you could see the spark in them after that realization that you know they are continuously trying game after game to you know get into the playoff hunt and beat Kannapolis and you know get past them and get another shot at Lakewood. So it's been an interesting last couple of days, but this team is definitely on an upswing.
What do you think it's going to take? Where will the Power need to be successful to get it into the postseason?
You know, I think it's going to come from the bullpen. The bullpen has been a little bit shaky over the last few games, and it's been different guys, so it's not just one person. But I think if the bullpen can settle in and find their roles and then continue to just, you know, continue flowing, continue making things work, you know, continue doing their job and you know, making pitches when they count, I think that, you know, West Virginia's going to be okay. The offense has certainly awoken. The starting pitching has been pretty good over the last few days. And I think if the bullpen just, you know, continues to they look within itself and say, all right, I need to get this guy out, this guy, you know, is my guy, versus looking ahead, then I think that you'll see a very successful West Virginia team over the last few series. We got 5 series left. 4 of them are against sub-500 teams. You know, this is the schedule you want going into the final 3 weeks of the regular season.
David Kahn's our guest from the West Virginia Power. So the good news is the Power are not out of it. Wild card does come into play. And sometimes I even forget about that because I'm looking at the overall standings and not realizing, oh, wait a minute here. So that's the good news. And so fans shouldn't give up on this team yet. I think that's something that happens late when you look at the standings, maybe fans start giving up. All right, there's nothing to play for. So how have the fans responded knowing that, oh, we've got some baseball still to go here?
You know, the fans haven't given up at all. You know, props to them for you know, a team that had a rough July. It's no hiding it. West Virginia did struggle in the month of July. It's plain and simple. But you know, this team has stuck with them, and the support of the fans has been very nice to see. You know, they're still coming out to the ballpark. They're still enjoying, you know, Power games. They're still cheering on all their players, even when we're getting new guys and sending old guys away and, you know, all this stuff. But, I mean, the fans have been great. You know, I still have fans listening to the broadcast, you know, tweeting at us, you know, saying, like, you know, we're supporting you guys, you know, down the stretch. Let's get a playoff spot. I mean, this fan base is hungry for a championship, Paul. They haven't had one since 1990. So, I mean, there are not a whole lot of fans that, you know, can honestly say, oh, I vividly remember the 1990 championship. There are a few, but there are not a whole lot that will, you know, go back and say, I was there for the 1990 championship. So to bring a title back to to Charleston would be truly special, and this team is definitely capable of doing it.
Our guest is David Kahn from the West Virginia Power in the wild card hunt. And I guess the good news here is homestands coming up real quick, so you can start racking off some wins real quick and make that run now.
Absolutely, and we're playing the two bottom teams in the South Division, Columbia and Charleston. Columbia's given West Virginia some fits, and the Power haven't seen Charleston since April. So this will be an interesting series. However, the Power did take 2 of 3 from Columbia back in July and into early August. That was a positive sign there in Columbia. But, Columbia's an interesting team. They're kind of like Augusta in the fact that they can't really hit very well, but they have solid pitching. So if West Virginia's offense can get to the starting pitching, just like they did in Rome and just like they did, against Columbia back in Columbia at the end of July, I think they'll do fairly well against the Columbia Fireflies. Charleston's kind of a question mark. They're in the bottom of the Southern Division, but, the Power haven't seen them in a while. They haven't seen West Virginia in a while. Two very different teams, very different ball clubs. And so you have to, you kind of have to just play those games out and see what happens. But on paper, yes, West Virginia matches up very well against both of these teams. So if they play their games that they're supposed to play, the starting pitching gives you 5-6 innings, the bullpen is solid, and the offense comes alive for 5-6 runs a game, you could see a very good homestand. I think what I've been telling everyone down the stretch is, we have to win every game. We don't have to win every game. I think if we win every series, take 2 of 3 from Columbia, 3 of 4 from Charleston, then you go take 3 of 4 from Rome, 3 of 4 from Hagerstown, 3 of 4 from Charleston, South Carolina again. I think if you do that, you're in the playoffs. I really do. Kannapolis has started to tail off. They've lost 8 in a row. Delmarva's kind of wishy-washy. Hickory has to play Lakewood 4 more times, and Lakewood just took 3 of 4 from Hickory in Hickory. So, it's a positive outlook for West Virginia. Now, that's on paper. The games still have to be played. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, heck, West Virginia could rattle off a 7-0 homestand just like that and, pull away. But I would say if you're looking at a potential, scenario where West Virginia could clinch the playoffs, I don't think it happens until the final homestand.
And the good news is 3 of the last 5 are homestands. So you've got the long homestand, and then you've got the road trip, homestand, road trip. That road trip's timed just perfect also. You're right out of the way of college football. I know you're not talking college football. I know it. I get it. But the schedule is right there. It works perfectly for you.
Whatever you want to talk. Paul, we've had this conversation. I'll talk whatever you want to talk. If you want to talk college football, let's talk college football. But I'm gonna go Tulane Green Wave on my college football talk. So we can go there.
We could go there. I mean, I don't know who would want to go there, but we could go there.
Does anyone ever want to go where we go on this show?
Yeah, actually, I think so.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Come on now, don't downplay us. I mean, I can't wait for season 2 of this comedy act. I think it's going to be even better.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you we got renewed by NBC. So.
Oh, good.
And ESPN.
What's our
ESPN double up?
What's our time slot on this? Did they give us a Friday night? What did they give us?
TBD.
Okay. Understand completely. The upfronts haven't happened yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it.
I got the renewal notice in the mail. NBC co-signed it with ESPN, so we got double renewal from 2 major networks.
That's pretty impressive here. Wow.
I would agree.
I don't know what our off-season shtick is going to be, but we definitely have we have a summer shtick. That's fair to say. So
we do.
I think it's timed out perfectly here because you're getting the primetime slots in August. You're going on the road. The final homestand is going to be right before college football starts, and then you're going to come back home. College football is going to begin, and so will the Power in the playoffs. So that's the mindset, right?
That's the mindset. Yeah, ignore college football for the first 2 weeks because the Power are going to go bring home a title, and then you can look at it.
David Kahn,
which is great it's great for me because I can hopefully ignore the fact that Tulane's going to get bamboozled at week 4 by Ohio State. So that's going to be fun.
You don't think Tulane's going to beat Ohio State?
No, I do not.
I mean, that's not the positive outlook to have.
It's in Columbus.
So you're going, right?
No, I actually work in the off season in Winston-Salem in North Carolina, so I will actually be working the Tulane game and producing the broadcast.
Okay, so here's your schedule. Before we call it a segment here, Wake Forest, and then Nichols.
Yep, Nichols State.
Okay, and then at UAB, that's a loss for Tulane.
I don't know. We play UAB well.
I'm repping Conference USA, okay?
All right, well, look, Tulane used to be at Conference USA, so I understand that.
Yeah, I'm repping Conference
we always
USA.
Honestly, first 4 weeks, I think we go 2-2.
Okay, 2-2. With losses.
We'll start at Wake and Ohio State.
Okay, I say your losses are going to be at UAB and at Ohio State, but that's just me.
If we beat Wake, that's a huge win, so I'll take that.
All right, fair enough. Memphis at Cincinnati, SMU
that'll be a tough one.
At Tulsa, at USF, ECU at Houston, and then Navy.
Yep.
Okay. You sure you want to be a Tulane fan? I mean, are you sure?
I went there. I went to school
there. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Ask Ohio State fans. It does not mean anything.
Oh, we're not going there. We're not going there.
David Kahn from the West Virginia Power joining us.
Ohio State. I'm not touching that program right now.
Fair enough. What's happening on the homestand? What kind of events can we look forward to?
Oh, we got a lot coming up. Tomorrow it all starts. Pets in the Park. Obviously a fantastic time. Bring your dog, your cat. We even invite snakes, goats, fish. I mean, whatever you want to bring. Just pay $3. They can come in the ballpark. Now, if it's a snake, put it in a cage. If it's a goat, dog, cat, keep it on a leash. The usual. On Thursday, it is the Paul Swann special, Thirsty Thursday. So I know you're very excited about that.
Hey, I'm here
$1 12-ounce beverages.
I'm here for the fans, man.
I know. $1 12-ounce beverages, $2 16-ounce cans. All the college students coming back into town or getting ready to leave, you still get $2 off your game ticket by presenting your student ID at the box office. It's also West Virginia Tourism Night, presented by the Charleston CVB. On Friday, it's our final post-game fireworks show of the season. So we're really excited about that. So if you haven't seen any fireworks shows all season long, come on down. One more to come on Friday night. On Saturday, we have a Trevor Hoffman figurine giveaway. That is the marquee event at this homestand. The first 1,000 fans will receive a Trevor Hoffman giveaway. And the Charleston Building and Construction Trades Council is actually putting that one on for us. So we're excited to give that away. I can guarantee you those will go really quickly. And by the way, speaking of giveaways, I still have your bucket hat, Paul. So you need to come down to the ballpark at some point so I can give that to you.
Okay, I'll work it in my schedule.
And on Sunday, it's Kids Sunday Fun Day. On Monday, it is Family Buck Night as well as First Responder and Community Appreciation Night. So we'll be allowing all first responders who attend Monday's game to receive a free boxing ticket. That's firefighters, that's police officers, that's any first responder, EMTs, all the like. And it's also Chuck's birthday. So make sure you come out, celebrate Chuck's birthday. Chuck actually shares a birthday with Pablo Sanchez from the backyard baseball game, funny enough. So actually it's going to be a double birthday, but we're just celebrating Chuck's birthday. But if you're a fan of the video game Backyard Baseball, just celebrated 20 years, it's also Pablo Sanchez's birthday on Chuck's birthday. Thought that was a pretty cool thing to note. And then finally, 2 for Tuesday wraps up the homestand. 2-for-1 16-ounce cans and other special concessions. It's a jam-packed homestand, 7 games, final multi-series homestand of the season. I can't hype it up enough. Playoff baseball around the corner possibly. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to here, Paul.
David Kahn, our guest from the West Virginia Power. Also, the guy I usually get to cut up with at least once a week on this show. It's one of my favorite things to do every week. Because I can just sit down, hang out with you. We get to cut up a little bit.
Look, you went on vacation last week. I was expecting you to come back with a little more fire. I mean, I'm a little let down.
I've got to be serious here. I've got Dr. Jasko coming on the program next. Big hire at Marshall today. So
I figured
I got to be serious.
That would be the serious portion of the segment.
Yeah, but I've got to be serious now. I've got to get into that mode, so I can't overdo it. Next week, I'll make sure it's really over the top for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Good talking to you, David. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Paul. See you.
David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. All right, we're going to get serious. Dr. Jasko is going to join us next. As you heard at the top of the show, he was hired today or announced today as the new head team physician for Marshall Athletics. He joins us next on the program. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. We want to talk now about a new hire today at Marshall University. We got the release earlier this morning that Marshall has now named Dr. John Jasko as the head team physician for Marshall Athletics. And Dr. Jasko is with us on the program now. And first of all, congratulations. This is a pretty big honor to be named a head physician for any team. And I know Marshall, it's a pretty special position.
Indeed. Thanks for having me on the show, Paul. And I heard the end of your last segment, and I just want to stress that you don't have to be too serious about this because sports medicine, and I'm really honored to be named a head team physician today by Mr. Hamrick, and it's a pleasure to be part of the herd. Well,
we try to keep it a little serious because, you don't know, we cut up pretty much every segment we do, me and David from the West Virginia Power. So I want to at least keep this first interview a little bit more above board. Yeah, second interview we'll cut up, I promise.
Okay, I look forward to that in the future.
So what was it about Marshall that made that position attractive to you?
Well, I've actually been here at Marshall for 8 years now, and when I did training in sports medicine, I started looking for a position, an area, mid-sized college where I could be a team physician, and I was lucky enough to find the opportunity here at Marshall 8 years ago, and I worked mainly under Dr. Chuck Giangara, who was the head team physician before me, and I consider him a mentor and learned so much from him. And it's just been a very enjoyable experience. I'm part of the larger Marshall Health and Marshall Orthopedic department, and have clinic and surgery in the area. But the team physician aspects are kind of the third leg of my practice, and being around the young, energetic athletes keeps me feeling young, and they're always motivated to get better, so they're a pleasure to take care of.
So I guess to follow up on that question, then it's more of a destination for you than using Marshall to fulfill a dream elsewhere. This was a place where you wanted to stay. Exactly.
Even with Dr. G sort of unexpectedly having to retire from us recently, I was on board for staying for as long as I could. So this is a nice step towards this position and get to step into a leadership position with all of these other sports medicine providers. We have non-operative sports medicine docs, chiropractors, eye doctors, dentists, and especially our athletic trainers that work with the student athletes on a day-to-day basis. It's just a great large team, and a pleasure to be a part of.
For those who maybe don't understand what a head physician does with an athletic team, if you could break it down a little bit, because you now are responsible, I guess in the most general terms, the health and well-being of Marshall student athletes.
That's correct. So we have, like I mentioned, a larger team of multiple healthcare providers, and it starts with the athletic trainers, who tend to be the primary care providers for the student athletes because they're at every practice, every game, and so then they identify athletes that need care by a higher level of care, for whether it's orthopedics like myself with bones and joints injuries, or with primary care sports medicine, whether it be colds or flus or heat illness, etc. And then we evaluate them. And so my job now is to kind of coordinate and oversee the duties of these 20-plus other providers, so that we have people in place at every practice, every event, that we can provide the best care for the athletes.
Pretty challenging because you've got to make sure that you've got the right people in place so you don't have to be hands-on with every single student athlete, but know that you can be everywhere and one place at the same time.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. We rely on all of the tentacles of our team to be well trained. We have regular meetings to make sure that we're all on the same page with injury reports, and making sure that athletes are getting rehab and the proper care that they need, as well as in being able to reach out to the larger medical community for subspecialty care if needed. So it's we got a lot of student athletes, of course, at Marshall, and we have to put a lot of pieces in play to oversee it all. And it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of volunteer hours for the physicians, especially, which, we get a lot back as physicians, though, just being around these young folks and seeing their commitment, their love of the game and of Marshall. So it goes both ways as far as a give and take.
Dr. John Jasko joins us on the program, named head team physician for Marshall Athletics. And you've been around, you've seen other programs, you've been on the pro level as well with the Tennessee Titans. How would you compare what Marshall offers to the student athlete to where you've been? Because in my limited experience, I don't know if there are too many institutions that have equal or superior opportunity or facilities or benefits to the student athlete than what Marshall has put into place.
Well, I agree, Paul, and of course I'm biased, and one of the reasons why I've stuck around and made it a destination is because I have seen the commitment from the athletic department, from Marshall Health as a whole, and we partnered with Cabell Huntington Hospital to basically make the Sports Medicine Institute down near the stadium really a state-of-the-art facility, especially for a university of Marshall size. You may see some of the bigger schools have something similar, but for our size, there's been a great commitment to the health and well-being of the athlete. And so it really is a unique situation, and certainly applaud all the parties involved that have made that happen. And comparing it to the pros, certainly, the pros have just about all of the resources as possible. But the one thing that I like even more about this collegiate level and this kind of mid-major level is everybody involved really wants to be involved. And even the athletes that come here, they want to be here. And that's what makes it special. On the pro level, it was fun. I learned a lot from my mentors on the pro level, but there were a lot of issues that we don't necessarily have to deal with on the collegiate level that make it more enjoyable for me in this position.
And at this level or at Marshall, is it unique or is it something that's a little bit more special for Marshall than other places? There's also that community involvement. This isn't something that's just a Marshall athlete program only facility. I mean, there are opportunities for the community to be involved with this and benefit from everything that's taking place at the facility as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we use what we learn and study for these elite level athletes at the college level to then be able to treat the community athletes and the community health conscious individuals at a better because we see patients from all walks of life, from young children to older health conscious individuals who come to the Sports Medicine Institute for care, and we can literally give them the same care, and they may be sitting next to, in a room or next to it in the physical therapy facility, next to a Marshall athlete getting the same shoulder therapy or shoulder rehab that they are going to get from the same individual who, has learned a lot from working with the athlete.
Dr. John Jasko is our guest, named the head team physician for Marshall Athletics. So now that you've assumed position, you're no stranger to the program. You've been around and you've been there and seen it progress to where it's at. Where would you like to see this program go, or where would you like to take this program now that you have moved up?
Well, we'd like to continue to build on what we have as far as ancillary opportunities. One aspect we're trying to work at adding to our opportunity for student athletes is sports psychology. And so we're talking to different programs and trying to possibly recruit a sports psychologist to come here as that's become a big part of the mental aspect of the game. And just to continue to be a leader in the area and possibly to partner with other sports medicine departments within Conference USA to have a regional meeting maybe once a year to talk about sports medicine issues and come together even closer as a conference community and learn from each other and hopefully, grow from sports medicine as well as just a collegial aspect within our conference.
How proactive would you say then Marshall is compared to others? Because this is a dream facility, this is a dream program for a lot of institutions, and Marshall made the conscious decision to make this a priority when the Vision campaign took place a few years ago. So would you say Marshall really is heads and shoulders, or at least further ahead than most institutions when it comes to health, well-being, and everything that Marshall Health offers?
Yes, I do. Again, I say that in a biased fashion because I have been able to visit a lot of our sister schools through traveling with the team and have met a lot of their trainers and providers. So they're doing a good job as well. But when we discuss facilities and opportunities for the healthcare providers, you can tell they're envious when I show them pictures and talk about what we have as far as an indoor practice facility and right next to our athletic training facility and clinic space for the physicians and physical therapy space, and essentially we have a CrossFit gym in there for them to train in as well. So you can definitely see some envy in their eyes and their voices as we talk about it. So within our conference is really the barometer that I've used because I've gotten to see a lot of the other facilities. We're definitely right there at the top, if not at the top, in facilities and organization of our sports medicine department.
Plus, you get the great atmosphere. Anytime there's practice indoor, doesn't matter what the sport is. You can just open up a couple doors and there you are. So that's got to be the best work environment for anyone who's into athletics and enjoys working with these young student athletes.
Yeah, I am really privileged to be down here at the Sports Medicine Institute. I spent the first few years in my practice before we had this building at the main Marshall Orthopedics office. And I'm really lucky, just like you said, to be in an environment where it's sports-related, lots of young folks, lots of energy down here. I've got basically a workout facility right next door, so I can't be lazy and not get in shape with the student athletes myself.
Now, you get to patrol the sidelines as well, so, again, another great perk of the job, right?
Exactly. It's a lot of fun to be down there. I become more of a student of the game. I try to listen to what the coaches are telling the players and try to learn a little bit about football or baseball or volleyball and really enjoy that aspect of it because I've enjoyed watching all different types of sports in my life. And so to be right on the sidelines, part of the action is really a cool, unique opportunity.
Dr. John Jasko is our guest. He is named head team physician for Marshall Athletics. Congratulations on the position. Looking forward to having you back on real soon. And it's going to be fun. Football season is almost upon us. So hopefully you're not that busy with football. That would be my hope.
That's exactly right. I like I just said, I want to be a fan. I want to just be standing on the sidelines cheering as loud as our great fans at the Joan and not be too busy. So that's best for everybody if I'm just a fan. So
the goal is work as hard as you can Monday through Friday to make sure Saturdays are enjoyable.
That's exactly right. Exactly right, Paul.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, and congratulations again on the position.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's Dr. John Jasko, named today head team physician for Marshall Athletics. We're going to take our final break, come back, and we'll wrap this one up. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
I've got one tidbit for you today. The watch list for the 2018 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award came out today. And going down the list, it's not that long of a list compared to some of the other watch lists that come out. But a couple of names that you might recognize are on the list. First of all, Alex Thompson from Marshall making the list, so congratulations to him. That's a pretty big honor. Also, Will Greer, obviously on the list. If you don't have him on the list, then I think that invalidates the list. But that's pretty cool for Marshall today to get a quarterback on the Golden Arm Award. Hopefully, we're going to see more of him than maybe some of us think we won't. I know the whole injury situation, the limited time in practice, so we'll find out after practice is over today what his situation is day to day, but hopefully that's not going to be a major hindrance to the Thundering Herd. Good news is, though, you've got a couple quarterbacks in camp, and they're progressing. So I don't think it's a dire situation. But still, I know a little anticipation for the season on top of a little I guess the best way to describe this is angst. A little angst here at the quarterback position. I think it'll be solved here soon. I don't think that this is going to be a major problem for the Thundering Herd. So welcome back to the program, The Drive, here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm looking forward to the fact that we're just getting closer to football season. This summertime is almost over. Summertime is not the best time for sports. You got baseball, but outside of that, what do you have, really? Baseball, Canadian football. We're not talking Canadian football. We're not doing that. High school is going to start back up. The Bengals preseason game, number 2 is coming up on Saturday, taking on Dallas. We'll hear that game right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. And we're getting that much closer to college football returning. Thundering Herd, UK, over on our sister station, Cat Sports in 93.3 and 1340. So we got a lot to talk about in the next few weeks. So I'm looking forward to all of that. And we're going to be back here tomorrow to do it all over again. I do appreciate that. Here's one tidbit. This is more of a Conference USA note than anything. But Harry Minium, who's been on this program several times, he has covered the Old Dominion beat for a long time. Well, he's got a new job. He tweeted this out earlier. He's going to be working for Old Dominion now as a senior executive writer. He said that he will be writing about athletics and academics. He'll have a column shortly on their website. And the bad news is that he's going to be an insider now. So that means, for me, is he going to be breaking any insider news? Of course, they got a great staff. He has a great staff where he works. And I'll tell you this, that guy is an excellent journalist. Universities are going to go and do this more often now. I think they're going to bring in guys, qualified, well thought of journalists, and you're going to see, I think, athletic departments are going to be more and more becoming news outlets as well. It's still going to be from the team perspective, and for a lot of people, that's what they're interested in. They want that team perspective. Not necessarily that's the only perspective they want, but when you log into herdzone.com, you want to know what's happening with the university. You want to have that. You want to be a fan. You want to know what's going on. And if you bring in quality writers like Harry to go out and get that story, tell you what's going on, because there are some opportunities there for him to write and cover student athletes there that maybe other journalists don't have. And with that, we thank Gabriel Sellards, our producer. I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Huntington Sports Station.